to the world. Subscribe now to the Hot 97 YouTube channel. It's Ebro in the Morning with Laura Stiles and Rosenberg.
Ebro in the Morning, Laura Stiles, Rosenberg, Macklemore. That's right. Ben, the new album available this Friday.
Yes.
4 songs out already. I saw the joint you did with Premiere.
Yeah.
I saw the video.
Yeah.
Before I heard the song, I saw the visual and reposted it right away.
Thank you for doing that.
And people fucking were happy to see you. Were fucking people who still had problems with you from winning a Grammy were like, nah, bro's back.
No, the song's great.
Like, yo, I was mad at him for the Kendrick thing, but nah, it's all good, bro. This is fire right here.
Yeah.
Primo produced it or did the scratches?
No, he did the scratches.
Got it. Who produced it?
Budo and myself.
Got it. Okay.
So how did you feel when that song hit and the kind of the feedback you got? Like, how does it feel to be back outside, I guess?
It felt great. It felt great that people still value that texture, that type of record, those types of raps, Primo on the cuts. Like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know if there's still an audience for this. You know, or if the audience is still, like, the only audience is like, yo, but we're still bumping Mobb Deep. Like, we're not listening to anything new. You know, like, we're still back in the 90s. So to have a record that sounds like it's from that era that I grew up in with my hero, Primo, it's great. And then to actually rap and to remind people, like, this is what I do is always a refreshing thing. But I've known this is what I do. This is my wheel. Out of everything that I do, out of all the different sonic textures that you're gonna hear from me all over the place, the most ADD ever, this is the core of what I do.
But isn't that sort of the fundamental conundrum of Macklemore, the artist?
Yes,
and
of
you and I
course.
have been like for a long time dealing with this because I always knew what you were like as a person. We all did. We knew what you were like as a person.
Right.
And we could see that the records were so big that people were losing sight of like how much you cared and that you want. So you came here, you freestyle with me, you did all these different things to show people, and it seemed like the second people got the opportunity to kind of come after you for one slight, good-intentioned misstep, it was like everything you tried to show people didn't matter, and all they seemed to think about in that moment is these pop records you had.
What's the plight of the white man?
White man's burden.
I tell you this all the time. Rosenberg goes through the same thing. Like, you know what I mean? When in our society where, you know, white men have been dominant in all facets of life.
Right.
When there's an opportunity to get at them, people are going to take it. Right? And that's a thing. So you became this, and it happens to Rosenberg, happens to other white dudes I know, especially in hip hop, which is definitely controlled. The narrative is controlled and the music is controlled by black artists, black media, black these things. There's an individual where it's like, I can't get to these other white people I dislike, but now this white guy done fucked up. So everything I'm feeling,
even though people liked the songs, it wasn't like they didn't
and
like
they like you.
Right.
Yeah, you know what? It's been and this is gonna sound cliche, because this has been something that's been challenging for me over the last decade.
Right.
You know, particularly when the shit popped off. I'm like, yo, but hold up, you guys don't even know who I am. Like, let me be seen for what I actually am as a human being, not for, you know, because your little cousin likes this song now, and now I'm not cool. Like, hold up, but what about all this?
Right.
I've been
So do you
doing this
regret? Do you have
forever.
any regrets about Thrift Shop being sort of the big impression?
No. My kids are straight forever off of Thrift Shop. I give a fuck about a comment section on the internet. My family is good for life, bro.
That's
for
pretty
life.
good. That's pretty
and
good.
You know what? It has been a challenge in times in the past. I think where I'm at now is like my journey is to not care about what other people think about me and to let my heart be the gauge. That's my journey on this earth. I think that's all. Like, turn the noise off. Let me get centered in the heart. Let me get centered in the breath. Let me come from a real place. Let me be genuine, authentically myself. And however they perceive me is none of my business. And the minute that you realize that this is none of my business, whether they love me or put me on a pedestal, or whether they hate me and want to tear me down for whatever reasons, that's their work. Art is subjective. It's a beautiful thing. You can like me, you can hate me. I'm going to keep doing what I do. And the minute that I let that outside perspective influence me in the studio, that's when I'm failing at my job.
That's right.
And I can't show up in 100% authenticity because I'm thinking about somebody else. I'm trying to appease. I'm trying to people please. I'm trying to be liked.
Is that part of, is the people pleasing and validation directly related to your addiction as well? Because it often is.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great, deep question.
No, I mean,
Yeah, no, I mean, yes. I mean, when I go through like, doing step work, people pleasing is definitely a character defect. I want to be, I think we all have a natural tendency to want to be seen, to want to be understood. And the minute that something blows up like Thrift Shop did, or really Thrift Shop, and that narrative becomes somebody else's, that's you have to relinquish power and control that you didn't really have in the first place.
That's right.
So for us that aren't as aware of the step thing you're talking about, and I told Rosenberg and Laura before you came in, I didn't recall the addiction part, but I saw an interview you recently did where you were talking about during the pandemic, you relapsed.
Yeah.
Alcohol, correct?
Alcohol.
No.
Pills?
No.
Something else?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I didn't know that a part of your story was initially, even when you came on the scene, was this human who was overcoming these addiction challenges and trying to tell the whole story.
Right.
And a holistic story and share. And you know what I mean? Which in itself, not all artists in any genre have to peel back their layers to create, right? Many artists get to go and
they walk in the studio and they're like, here's a song today.
Or they walk in the studio and put on a mask.
Right.
And get to play another part or be another person that they're not.
Yes.
You came in the game trying to be the truest form of a human that you could be and running from demons and then the world kind of falls on top of you in a world that you love, which is hip hop. So I'm sure that was its own challenge, but then the pandemic hits. And so I would love to hear a little bit more about being this truest form of yourself that you're articulating right now and what that pandemic setback was all about.
Yeah, I mean, the pandemic hit and immediately my disease in my head was like, yo, this is what you've been waiting for.
Yeah.
Like, all bets are off. Like, this is basically like no man's land in terms of time, this linear sequence of time. Like, it doesn't really matter anymore. Like, doesn't count. This doesn't count right now. Immediately, that thing kicked off.
Now, how far in the clear were you in your program? Did you feel like you were tempted even at that point?
No.
You felt completely removed.
I was straight. I was straight. I was great. I was going.
Your addict was dead, gone.
No. That motherfucker's never gonna die. But no, I wake up with it every day. Untreated disease of addiction, alcoholism. Like every day, I wake up with that. What am I gonna do about it? It's a daily thing. But yes, I was feeling good.
Right.
And I had my like safety nets in place. I'm straight. All of a sudden, the pandemic hits. Those meetings go away that I'm used to going to multiple times a week. That community. That sense of place, belonging, people.
The online meetings weren't doing it for you?
Physical touch. Give somebody a hug. It's great to see you guys. If we were on Zoom right now, this is completely different.
Yeah.
This conversation's completely different. I don't feel your guys' energy. You know what I'm saying? I don't get to, see what type of jeans, Ebro's wearing.
Same one.
With the Vans.
Same one.
Crispy.
Same one.
I don't get to see, there's something about the physicality and sharing that space, particularly with something spiritual. Yeah. And recovery is something spiritual. So take that away. My disease got louder. Finally, I'm like, dude, summertime. I'm home anyway. Tour got canceled. Fuck it. And the minute that I hear that fuck it, that low
bad.
voice.
Fuck is bad.
That's the national anthem of the addict.
Yeah,
the fuck it.
it.
And it was on.
And so you're sitting here today, new project Friday, Ben.
Yeah.
Putting your real name on it, which
Yeah.
I'm sure has something to do with, once again, back trying to be the most honest, transparent form of yourself.
Yeah, I think like part of it, I named the album Ben partially because of that, and then partially because I can't name albums. But like, and that's just my name. But like, and that's probably more of the answer than like this shit that I've been telling media, which is like, yeah, everyone's like, it's so personal. I'm like, yeah, I really try to go there. I guess. Like, I just been doing what I'm doing.
I'm just being me.
I'm just being me. And like, part of the means of, it's not some like, this isn't a calculated attempt at talking about the process of making art. It just so happens to be my attempt at making art, which is a process of figuring out why I'm here, who I am, what I'm struggling with. Like all of those things that like the page has been my therapy since I was 15 years old. Like that was my mirror. So none of that has changed. This isn't more personal. This isn't less personal. It's just the same process of excavation to try to get to the spirit. That's it.
I just saw a really beautiful video of you asking your 7-year-old
Damn, 7 already?
7-year-old daughter to be the director for No Bad Days.
Yeah.
It was super sweet. Can you tell me the story behind it?
Yeah. You know, I got a lot of kids. If they're gonna be in my house, I'm
many
gonna put
you
them
got
to work.
Take
You
it
know what I'm
away.
saying?
How many you got?
I got 3.
3, got it.
3. No, she her name is Sloan, and she is she's a creative. She was on the road with us from the jump. She was out in Europe. She was wants to be a singer. She freestyles. Like, you know, I put on a beat the other day, not even like, all right, we're about to rap or sing or whatever, and she just immediately heard the beat and just went in, and I'm like, oh, this is what it's all about right here. And I watched that creativity. So she's had a massive hand at just, you know, throwing out ideas and critiques and being in the studio and listening to songs. And I was like, I never have seen a video for the song. I don't know what to do. And finally, someone said something and it struck, and I was like, we should have Sloan direct it. And, we had a lot of fun. Video's finished. She did a great job. And it's funny, though, because I'm like, my reservation with it was putting your kid on the internet,
Right.
which I put her on the internet before. My middle daughter does not want to be on Instagram. She's 4 years old. She's like, don't put this on the internet.
She wants her own thing.
I'm like, say less.
Yeah.
But with Sloan, I'm like, my life is her life. You know, we live together. That's my daughter. So we bring, unfortunately, like, Macklemore stuff is in the house all the time. We have meetings. We have people through the doors. Like, she's a part of it, whether she wants to be or not. And she wants to be a part of it. And I'm like, well, the negative side of social media, the comparison, the ego, the likes, the algorithm, the whatever, the followers, all that,
the bullying.
the bullying, all of that. What if we started talking about just the creativity? Because all of that is a byproduct of art, right? Mm-hmm. Like, the music business is really just music. Like, actual making content is art. Let's get creative and make something, not with the intention of likes or followers, but just with the intention of making something. And I want to be able to foster that. We're in a new age. Like, I think if we protect, like, think about the parents that protected their kids and were like, yo, you're never going to be around boys.
They absolutely
what
went
happens
to find out what this boy
happens
thing was all about.
What happens when finally, you know,
yeah,
then you've had no conversation around it.
that's right.
You've had no preparation. I think it's important to bring her into the process, and she loved it.
Yeah, and it's really about, you know, with the kids, it's always about, like, identifying their interests and seeing
Right.
if you can, you know, feed those interests in some way so they can continue to discover themselves, continue to discover the things that they're good at. And, you know, being good at something is something we all, you know, we all cherish, right?
Right.
When you find that thing, you're like, oh, like, people told me I was good at this.
But
whatever
yes,
that thing is.
yes,
But, you know what I'm saying?
But
It's
how
a
do
big
you?
deal.
But how do you not allow that to turn into a thing about validation?
Right.
Because I've seen children
Yes.
get amped off the likes.
Yeah.
I've seen it hits them like a sugar rush, and that's scary.
Yes, it is. It's dopamine. You're like, oh, I got the spike. You know, this thing went. You know, we went viral. All of that is the spike. That's what TikTok is playing off of. Is that, you know, we're gonna give you one. We're gonna let one go and hit a couple million, and then we're gonna give you 15,000 next time. You're gonna keep wanting to post. You know, it's like they're doing this. Sloan doesn't even know about likes. She doesn't know,
Really?
and not
That's
yet.
awesome. That's
And that
awesome.
will be a slow introduction to, like, I don't know how we'll get there. We don't need to get there today. Right now, she's the director of the music video.
Well, and also, too, you know, I have an 8-year-old, and she has an Instagram account. It's
She
private.
does?
Yeah, but it's private. It's her and her mom. You know, she'll be
Yep.
like, hey, Daddy, I posted a photo or something. She doesn't know about likes or something, right? Or she just sees, like, her friends and family, like, in the comments or whatever,
Right.
but she doesn't really know. I've never heard her once say,
It got 15 likes.
never, not
Right.
once. But I think some of it is also based in, when you're talking about validation, is have you as a human being gotten the validation and the love from your community, from your parents? Did that start at a time that was formidable for you where that's what mattered the most? When you
Yes.
were 3, 4, 5 years old and the people that are basically God to you
Right.
feed you every day, make sure you have clothes on your back.
Right.
Were they giving you the love? Or were you looking for something that wasn't there, and then the moment you got a chance to get out in the world, you were like, I need validation because I never got it before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think some of that as parents, that's where you got to be on your square, is making sure that your child knows that you're getting the love and the things that you need in the home from the people who are there with you day in and day out.
But it's an impossible task because you can also give too much, and then they're
It's
seeking it out.
balance. It's about balance.
It's what I'm saying is it's
about balance.
It's balance.
We're all
and it's
gonna
a prayer, bro.
Our kids are gonna all be in therapy over things that we did unintentionally.
Like, I don't know if it's a prayer.
With good intentions.
It's only a prayer if you're expecting to be perfect. If you're expecting that there's a singular right answer. If you're expecting to absolutely get it right. As a parent, you're not going to be perfect.
Right.
And that's okay. As a child, you're not going to be perfect. That's okay too, right? Like, we're imperfect humans. And I think the sooner we accept that, the sooner we stop putting this weight on our shoulders, as you just articulated. It's a prayer. What's a prayer? Like, no, we just walk through this together. We got each other.
What I'm trying to say is,
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's day in and day out. Same way Macklemore came in here, was like, yo, every day I wake up and that motherfucker is in the back of my head. Yeah. Everybody's got a motherfucker in the back of their head. Now, some people it's affecting more than others. Whatever that burden is, motherfuckers got it. And the sooner you understand that everybody's got some shit, literally, everybody's got some shit. And the sooner you could tell that to your child, like, yo, don't feel no type of way because we got some shit that we got to deal with, the sooner they could be like, you know what? I wake up every day. We got some work to do. Let's do the work. I got people who love me. I love them.
Right.
And we can figure this shit out. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying there's a right answer because there isn't. It's about balance, and shit will get fucked up, and we got to figure that shit out, bro.
But it is hard, though. It is hard. You're completely right. And it is hard because I had a mom from an early age that was like, yo, you're amazing. Like, that drawing, yep, let's print it on a t-shirt. Let's give it to our relatives. Like, we had the family reunion popping with, my own merch, at the age of 5.
Right.
wow.
And my mom really drove that in. My dad, very different dude. Worked 5 days a week, was in the yard doing his yard work. We played a little catch, but there wasn't that very different than my mom. And I think that part of it was I got that, that people pleasing thing from my mom because I'm like, yo, look at what I made. Look at what I made. And you got to be careful with the kids. The good job. I mean, even with my son, he's a year and a half. I'm like, you have to be careful with the oh my God, look at what you did again. Because then when those applause go away, then who is he? Then what?
And the applause will go away.
And the
Well,
applause
and you won't
go
be
away.
listening.
And
Also-
then who are you?
And also, some of what I'm hearing is you probably wanted some of that from your dad.
Absolutely. That's what you were saying. And I'm like, so I got
So there
both.
wasn't balance.
Right.
It wasn't balanced. It was mom gave a bunch,
Everything.
dad gave nothing.
Yep.
And so
Or very
you were
little.
probably in the
Yeah.
back of your mind like, yo, dad, what's good? That's my mom. Of course she loves it. But dad, what's
Yeah.
popping? Right? The same way, I talk about Issa a lot. Issa will draw something. She'll be like, Dad, which one you like? And I'll be like, they both all right. But do you like it? What
a
do
good
you
one.
think about it? Because if you like it, it don't matter what I think.
Right.
Because there's a lot of things I'll be like, nah, Issa, that's trash. She'll be like, nah, this is fire.
Yeah.
That's
That's what you want.
That's
what you want.
By the way, I got to be honest. Issa's an unfair conversation. She's kind of a mutant for how emotionally mature she is for an 8-year-old. I've never
this
really
is
met an
true.
8-year-old. Am I lying, Laura?
No.
I've never met an 8-year-old. So she's already smarter than She's parenting Ebro. He doesn't even know.
The other day, she was like, Dad, don't forget you have a call at 5. She's on it,
Crazy.
bro. On it.
I just feel like you end up, I found myself in 12-step before and still, and found other people there also who literally, I'll hear people tell stories of their parents being terrible, and I feel guilty because I'm like, my parents were great.
Yeah.
And I'm still here. My mom was incredibly, oh my God, my dad was having me rap the Super Bowl shuffle in front of everyone. You're the best. But thought I was great. Now, granted, he never showed up to any of like my games or anything. That's not what dads did then. This new era of the Macklemore, Ebro dads who
It's
are
different.
everything, Ricardo, it's a different, like that wasn't that era. But I still feel weird because I'm like, my parents were on point. And I still am like, give me validation. I need it everywhere. You know?
Well, because now you're looking for it because you got so much from there. You're like, now, okay, now I want it from another place. But I don't know. Once again, I go back to balance. I go back to like if we're being truly honest, I know you well enough to know your dad and your mom. And without putting all the business out there, I could probably run through a few things where I'd be like, oh, they fucked that up.
Thanks for not getting specific.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, like, but were they amazing and they did their best
Right.
job?
Yeah, they did
Were
their
loving it?
best.
And
Right.
blah, blah, blah.
They did
but
their
that's
best.
the piece. The piece is us all taking a step back and going, yo, everybody's got some shit and that's okay.
Yes.
It's okay to be not having it all together.
But we're having that conversation in 2023.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, my dad wasn't having that
Right.
conversation in the 80s.
That's right.
What?
What? Like, we weren't having that
no.
conversation 5 years ago or 10
Yo,
years ago.
the good dad era started in like 05. I swear to God, up to like 2000, your dad came home from this is not racial specific. This is like American.
Yeah.
Your dad worked, he came home, he talked to you a little bit, blah, blah. I'll see you I'll try to make it to the next game. I'm gonna be at the next
Yeah.
one. And it's just, this is a different era.
Well,
and hopefully it'll make
and
better
it's also too
situations.
like it's very. There's some people who still live this reality. By the way,
Of course.
they're in their domestic dynamic. There's these gender roles that are very
Yes.
specific, and specifically men who think all I need to do is pay the bill, sit down at the table and eat, leave me the F alone.
Well, and,
Right? Like,
and some of them are just too tired. Let's not forget, both of you who were talking about being like the modern day super dad, you guys are both well-to-do. You are able to
Right,
have
we have
time when you
time,
can
yeah.
turn off. Some dads are just getting, it's,
Well,
Especially
no,
when
it's
you're doing
true.
Hard labor.
Ben, you guys are in trouble though now.
Huh.
You guys are outnumbered in that house.
oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
You went to 3.
Yeah.
You went to 3.
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah,
guys
no,
are
we're-
they're
it's a
dragging you
wrap.
guys right now.
No, it's a wrap. Yeah, no.
But you have 2 daughters?
Yes.
Okay.
2 daughters, 1 son. But hopefully we're getting better. Like, hopefully we're evolving as a society. Like,
Yeah.
the conversations that I'm having with my daughter, I'm taking what those conversations that my mom had with me when I was growing up, where I was like, I could really like confide in my mom and tell her my truth. And even the shit that I don't want to say, I can tell her. Like, I remember losing my virginity and like going to my mom. She was the first person I told. And like, because she'd been talking to me about sex since I was like, I don't know, 12, 11, 10. Like, it wasn't a taboo conversation. I had a closed mouth confidant that I could confide in. And I want to feel the same way with my kids, where they can come to me about the hard stuff, where they're like, you know what? We have an emotional relationship with dad where we can really go there and talk about our feelings. Because I don't know if I had that when I was growing up in the same way.
And do you have a good relationship with your dad?
Yeah, I love my dad. My dad's great. My dad's a byproduct of his dad, who had 5 kids, who went there in the war and done, you know, like, motherfuckers are trying to survive.
Yeah.
You know, like, now we're like, okay, who are we? Like, let's discover what makes us, what are these feelings? What are these emotions? Like, back then it was like, yo, we don't got time.
Fuck your
I got
feelings.
5 kids. You know, like, my grandpa didn't have a well-paying job. Like, you know, it's,
Well, and their hard work is what allows you to be in a place where like, I want to
Exactly.
look at my feelings.
yes,
Right.
exactly.
You
Because
can
you grew
have
up
a
with-
creative
Yes.
career.
Right.
So my dad's grinding 5 days a week, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, getting home at 6:30. Like, yeah, I saw him for an hour and some change, but he created a life that was sustainable for us. Like, thank you.
When you try to, and for people watching you or following you, when you think about everything that causes you to relapse, right? And you're going through your steps, how much of everything we're talking about, whether it's your relationship with your dad, lack of time with your dad, the validation thing you guys are speaking about, how much of that plays a part, right? Because I've, you know, I guess I'm lucky to have healthy addictions today. You know what I mean? Where I'm on a riding a bike 150 miles a week. You know what I'm saying?
I saw that the other day. That scared me, bro.
No, his numbers
you
are
on the
scary.
side of the road in the rain, I was like, we can't.
How much he rides is.
But you
crazy.
know, or going to the gym or trying to
Yeah.
focus on my diet. And there's times like where I have downtime, like, yo, if I wasn't really focused on work, these things, what would I be doing with my, like, where would my mind take me?
Yes.
Luckily, since I'm 15 years old, I was showing up to a radio station, doing a radio show, putting a mix together, having to go to a club. Couldn't go out and do stupid shit because I had to be at work or school the next day. Like I had these marks I had to hit.
Yes.
Right? And here
Which you've continued to hit your entire life. That's
right.
part
and so
of who you
talked
are.
about the pandemic.
Yes.
Remove these markers.
Right.
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 And removed your like boom. I gotta be at this meeting. I can't fuck with this stupid ass shit that keeps pulling me down. I gotta be somewhere. I gotta be on tour. I gotta. You know what I mean? But if you don't have those things, all of a sudden you start to.
Structure.
So how much of that is in your mind when you're fighting these demons?
I think that part of the beautiful part about working a 12-step program is that it gives you structure. Like addicts, we have no structure. It's like we wake up and the first thing is like, what do I want today? You know? And I can't wake up like that. I have to wake up with like, all right, we have some things mapped out here. Right. We're not freestyling our way through the day to just see how we feel. No. I can't do that anymore. Can I just pause real quick and just say one thing? It's cool to hear that you've been doing some 12-step stuff. I don't know what that looks like. We have never talked about that.
No.
But
I was going to tell you after, but then I figured it was coming up and I keep like getting close to mentioning it. And I'm like, I want to be able to talk about it. So at this point, why not just say it?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the honesty. And, you know, I was on Fallon last night and they posted the clip and I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning today, wide awake. And I go on the gram and I look, and I'm not like a comment dude. I don't look at comments unless it's around recovery, you know, for the most part. And only on my own page, really. I keep all the rest of it out, but on my own page around recovery and other stuff, but particularly that, because I read things and I'm inspired by. And someone was talking about the tradition of our program, of the 12-step, and that you're breaking the tradition by talking about it. You know, because the 11 tradition states we should be, anonymity states that we should be at the level of press, radio, and film, keep our anonymity. And
even though the 12th step says that you should then be giving it on and passing it on to other people, which is very complicated.
And this was like written in the 40s without like a massive opioid epidemic that is
it sounds like he's being updated.
The 11th step is a problem. I think.
Well, I'll say this: the 11 tradition is something that there's some controversy around. And I was just thinking today that we are in a place where I don't need to mention what program I'm in. It's a 12-step program. It doesn't matter which one I'm in a 12-step program. I was a teenager, like, yo, I can't get this. I can't figure it out. I was a 20-something-year-old, like in mid-20s. I can't get this. I can't figure it out. I don't know what to do. I had no idea because no one talked about it because you're supposed to be a secret.
Right.
If I get something that's changing my life that I believe to be the truth, that I'm like, yo, this is really, I don't need to go out and promote it, but if I don't talk about that thing that has not only changed my life, but has quite literally saved my life.
Right.
I'm not up here. You guys do not know who I am. If I'm still alive, you do not know who I am, and you have never heard my music if it is not for the rooms of 12-step meetings, straight up and down.
How many times have people thanked you for talking about it?
All the time.
Right.
All the time. Because when we talk about it, it lessens the stigma. And then when we talk about it, I can talk about it, and then Rosenberg's like, you know what? I should just fuck.
Well,
I've been thinking about saying it, I'm going to say it.
I always
and then I'm like,
that,
okay, now I'm going to go deeper because
Rosenberg,
and it keeps
true.
going.
When I also noticed a hesitation, like you had this kind of like hesitation in talking about it, which is probably because you're some sort of judgment or thinking the 11th step.
I've always come close to talking about it and not talking about it because I know. Not so much because of the idea that you're not supposed to talk about it, though I wouldn't specifically talk about it, but more so because, once people say that, they go, well, what was your problem?
Right.
Oh, what were you doing? Let's try to,
you
know, like, so that's the...
Or that's your fear.
Or that's my fear, but that's what I'm projecting.
Yes.
But I agree. I remember when I first went to a meeting and they were like, we are not, radio, television, they specifically say radio. And I'm sitting there like...
Guess what?
Do they know that I talk about
Press,
everything
radio,
all the
TV,
time?
yeah.
Yo, funny story too. First meeting I ever went to, my life was in complete shambles.
Yeah.
And I showed up at that first meeting. By the way, people rarely show up to their first meeting in a great space.
That's true.
No one shows up like, you know what? I just need to self-improve.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to this 12-step meeting. You show up because there's nowhere left to go.
Yes.
And I walked into the first meeting. It turned out to not be the meeting I wanted to go to. I realized after. First meeting, I'm walking out the door, and some guy comes up to me and is like, yo, can I get you some music? I was like, oh my God.
No.
By the way, it never happened again. It was a crazy violation. Because you'll see people who are of notoriety in meetings, and you can't go up to them and be like, yo, I saw your movie last week. Like, that's just not what you do. And it scared the hell out of me because I was so scared of anyone knowing. Of course, no one really cares about me, little old me, that much anyway. But, addict talking. But after that, it never happened again. And I saw people way more notable than me walk into rooms.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's a life-changing experience and a life-saving experience. And it can get you to the point where you actually are grateful for some of the addiction problems you had.
Absolutely.
Because it's what helped you
means in which to figure out what's going on.
A lot of people are never figuring out.
Right. Because the drugs and the alcohol are a symptom of something much bigger.
That's right.
That needs to be addressed. I want to just share one story off of that because this is the testament of recovery to me. Ryan and I got our studio robbed. It was after the heist. And
how ironic.
And everything got robbed. Like guitars, amps, hard drives, like everything. Gone. We go out, the cops aren't doing shit, like they're like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna go find some,
hard drives and guitars.
We have footage of them and whatever, one of them was in a red jacket. So like we go out to the streets. Like, this is my wife. Like, she's like, oh, they got me. I'm about to go get them. So she goes out with her homegirl.
It's in Seattle. Hometown. So it's we know everybody. Yes, let's go find our shit.
Yeah. And we find the dude at a bus stop, red jacket. Someone calls the cops. They arrest him. It's the guy. He's got some of our stuff. Now it was like 4 dudes. So, and this was like 36 hours later. It's been pawned or whatever, but some of it. And the cops were like, what do you want to do? Do you want to send him to jail, or you want to press charges, or should we give him, defer him to drug court where he can go get rehab? And of course I'm like, drug court all the way. Have a lot of close friends that have gone through this program in Seattle. Beautiful thing. Gets people into treatment, gets people help, not just like, okay, now we're going to put you in a cage for a while and we'll bring you out and then see how you do. So fast forward, I'm coming off of a relapse. This is years ago. And I'm in my home group and I'm sitting there. I'm broken, I'm crying. I've had to tell everyone that I've done this thing again, the guilt, the shame, all this thing. This dude comes up to me after the meeting and he's like, yo, can I talk to you for a minute? And I'm like, oh man, I can't deal with the rapper right now trying to, get me on a mixtape or a feature. Like what? I can't hear somebody's, I'm like, yeah, give me, I'm talking to my friends. I'm like, just give me a minute. He comes back over a couple minutes later. He's like, can I talk to you? I'm like, yeah, what's up? He's like, alone. He pulls me in the side of the parking lot. I could tell he's nervous. His hand's shaking. He reaches into his pocket, pulls out a piece of paper, says his name, and is like, 3 years ago, I was the person that robbed your studio. And today, I have 2 years clean. I have a life. I got my family back. And I'm on my 9th step right now, and I just need to make an amends to you for what I've done. And I was just like,
floored, man.
I mean, I don't know if I burst into tears. I definitely cried. It was definitely a moment of like,
wow.
the power of restoration. But we don't give people that opportunity. We don't give that people the opportunity to change, to evolve, to grow, because they don't know how to do it. Or they don't have the resources to be able to afford a therapist. Well, and this is free therapy. This is free. Am I right?
You are.
This is free
therapy. No, you might have to donate $1 if it's in your pocket. You don't have to, but if you can.
But if you can.
Well, we live in a society, and Rosenberg and I were talking about, politics like we do. We live in a society that doesn't want to do the work.
Right.
Right? So people complain about homelessness. People complain about, addicts. People complain about poverty. People complain about all these things, which are systemic,
right,
and are the result of a society that just has some areas we gotta fix, right?
Completely.
But mostly, it's faster to just get rid of people.
Absolutely.
Get them out of the way, right? Lock them up, send them somewhere, let them die.
Yep.
Right? And that's what our society does.
Yep.
And the process of doing the work, when you look at a city like San Francisco, who's, or Los Angeles, trying to figure out how to find places for people
Seattle,
to live,
yeah.
that the prices have skyrocketed, et cetera, et cetera. That process is not pretty. Like you guys talking about going through the 12 step. You said when you show up, you're not showing up because everything's all good. You're showing up because you're fucking broken.
Right.
Our society is broken.
Yes.
Bro, you want a great example of it on a deep level? That's such an example of it that I'm nervous to even bring it up because people will shame me for even bringing it up. The way we collectively treat R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Fuck him. He's gone. He's dead. Take his music away. He doesn't exist. Okay. Totally. Get it. What he did was heinous and awful. He's also a victim of abuse.
Absolutely.
He's also someone whose issues we at least need to talk about so we can try to make... No, we need to bury him and pretend
Act like
it never happened.
Was here.
And then we don't grow from it, right?
At all.
Then we're just like, R. Kelly's
Waiting
a
for the
bad
next
guy.
one.
How could he do... Like, I used to work in the juvenile detention facility in Seattle, or outside of Seattle, and when I was in college. And when I would read those kids' case reports, bro, like 90-something% of the time for a sex offender, you go and you're like, oh, that kid raped his, stay away from him. Like he's that guy. And you open his case and you're like, oh, yeah.
From
his,
a house.
His parents were literally pimping him out when he was 6 years old. Or like this happened to him. We're all just byproducts of our environment. So hurt people, abuse other people. And it continues until we heal, until we actually work on systemically changing what's going on.
And wanting to do the work and knowing that the work is generation. Like, we don't get to do the work you guys are doing in your 12-step program, the work I'm trying to do with my daughter and my family, the work Laura's doing and bring her family together and everybody's trying to do. Next year, we're still working.
Yes.
When Issa's 18, I'm still working on trying to make sure that I'm not like my dad.
Right.
Right? It's forever. It's constant.
Yes.
It doesn't, and that part, and you could apply it to something simple like going to the gym and eating right. That part is the piece where we all falter and need to help each other, pick each other up, figure out, systems and markers and ways to keep ourselves on task. You know what I mean? We can't just wake up and be like, fuck it. You can't do that really in any aspect of your life if you're trying to get a result.
Right.
Just wake up and be like, I don't know, fuck it.
Yeah.
Not if you're trying-
I lived that way for a really long time. It didn't work for me.
Yeah.
It didn't work for me.
It doesn't really work. That's the honest answer.
I know we got to wrap in a minute. We didn't mention Same Love at all. Like that, is that a real point of pride for you? And do a lot of people come up to you and reference Same Love? Because like right now it seems almost like so trite and obvious, like, oh, pro-gay, everyone's pro-gay. When you dropped that song and it was playing all over the country, it was a pretty unique situation. I always got really emotional when I heard it. I always thought it was really touching.
Yeah, I mean, Same Love is even yesterday at Fallon, someone that worked for the show came up afterwards and was like, I walked to that song. Me and my partner got married to that record, and we walked to it. So, yeah.
That must hit you every time when people use it at their wedding.
Yeah, it does. And you look back, and whenever I'm thinking about a record, it's like, what am I scared to say? Okay, let's lean into that. Like when I was in the third grade, I thought that I was gay. That was not a bar that I wanted to say. I didn't want to
Yo.
Oh no, it's John Blaze right here. It's John Blaze.
Yo, hold on, here I go. When I was in third grade, I thought that I was gay. Everyone's like, what kind of bar is this?
I mean, and but that. In the third grade, I thought I was gay. I told my truth. I don't know. I had to start the song somewhere. And it was from my own perspective. Like, I can't speak for anybody else.
Right.
I couldn't share what it was like to be gay and to go through that struggle. That's not my struggle. But, like, I can speak about mine. And let me do it in a way that that is authentic. And Ryan really pushed me to speak from that perspective on that record, and I'm super grateful he did. And I think that, yeah, art is supposed to move people. It's supposed to move spirits. It's supposed to make us dance. Whatever it's intended to do, like, I'm trying to get back to that place, because I think in 2023, we are running the risk of losing a bit of the magic that makes music what it is by the way that we are incentivizing artists to create. Like, I was thinking about it today. I'm like, I'm going to Sway after this or something. And sorry.
No, we love Sway. That's my brother.
Sway,
Yeah. Huge competition.
Everybody's fine.
No. So I'm going to Sway after this, and I'm like, Sway always asks me to rap. Like, it'll be like 7 o'clock in the morning, and Sway's like, and we're putting on the beat, you know, like, and I'm like, yo, I want to go there today and rap. I have had no time to rap in the last 6 months of this rollout, because I literally have to create content for TikTok, for Reels, music videos, like the amount of work that goes into right now
Promoting
to hopefully catch the people that even like your music, eyeballs and attention, is so much work. And I mean, you know, there's, what is it, 100,000 songs uploaded every day?
Every day, yeah.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day to DSP.
But this is what the people wanted. I was thinking about this yesterday. I remember a time. This is what the people wanted. No barriers to entry.
Right.
They wanted no barriers.
Well, we got it.
Get the gatekeepers out of the way.
Yes.
Get the politics out of here.
Yes.
Fuck these people.
Yep.
Fuck them all. Get
Yep.
them out of here. We want
Yep.
everybody to have everything
We've
they
been screaming
want,
it
everything they
for a
want
long
when
time.
they want it. Give it to them. You're getting it now. And now you don't know which way is up.
Right.
It's
And
hard to
no one
separate.
knows. But this is the point. I don't make 15-second songs for a reason. I don't make 7-second songs for a reason. By nature, I am a storyteller. I can't tell a story in 7 seconds.
But there's people who want it. There's an audience who want it.
Absolutely.
for
And there's
sure.
no problem with that. But the fact that that is our metric of success, and that is how we're then deciding what goes to radio and what we're pressing the button on and what's popular and all of that, I just get a little bit, I think there's a positive side of getting the gatekeeper, a balance, right?
Yeah, it's
because
about
it's balance.
Well, and it's also about tapping into people who know the difference between fast food
That
and
part.
great food.
That part.
I
part.
understand people love fast food, man.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why nobody rates McDonald's as the best hamburger, and that's no shade.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's a dumbed down, lowest
you can
common
make a billion of them.
denominator. We
Yeah,
can make
but
a lot of them
and you
fast.
can't eat it all the time and be healthy.
And people
Right.
like it.
Yeah.
But it's never graded as the best, and because the best is something that has craftsmanship.
Right.
It's taking time, right? You didn't listen to it one time and necessarily you didn't know how to use it and make it a part of your life maybe on the first time, or maybe it did hit you that one time when you were with all your friends or at this party or whatever, and you're like, yo, this is my shit.
Yeah.
Nobody knows this song. I was driving my car and it just, so Macklemore's your joint with Premier. You specifically in here talk about your heroes and addiction in this song. And I would love, in Seattle, I remember spending some time up there. It's been progressive for some time with regard to like having an area where people who suffered with addiction, I forget the name of the area, that was like an area where people were just kind of like trying to figure out in the city. I don't know if the city is still like that. You've been there most of your life, I believe. Is the city, Seattle, still like it was 20 years ago with regard to trying to help people?
No. God, no.
Not at all.
No. We have no mental health. We have no treatment facility in King County. King County is our county in the city. We have no mental health state-funded treatment facility.
So
in the middle of something, this is we're talking about an epidemic.
Yeah.
Not a pandemic of the moment, but an epidemic that is getting worse. Fentanyl is getting
with
worse.
generational issues in a city
Yes.
that has had addicts and
Yes,
trying to figure
all
it out
that.
for a while.
We've been on dope, and here we are without any resources. So yes, absolutely, it's gotten worse.
And I bring that up because there's been so much real estate success in Seattle. There's been so many corporations, major corporations, that have brought their hubs to Seattle.
Right.
That have changed the dynamic. So I point this out for a reason, because everybody thinks that the solution is just get money, get real estate. But that doesn't actually, once again, address doing the work of fixing the systemic generational problem.
Right. Completely.
And often it gets ignored and pushed to the side because everybody's getting money now, and the rich and the elite don't have to deal with it.
And you know what? As long as we get, the homeless people away from our doorsteps, where we have to go, where we have to walk, and we don't have to see them, then it's okay. And it's like out of sight, out of mind.
And that's how that then ends up being Gotham City, where literally the rich are just on the outskirts, hidden
Right.
up in their houses.
Yeah. Scared.
Try to run into the city, catch a show real quick, jump in their cab again, and leave. Whatever. Scary.
Yeah. I think there's a lack of empathy. And I think that that's part of why talking about the disease of addiction is important, because we don't have compassion. We don't have empathy for one another. And I think now more so than ever before, because addiction does not discriminate. It touches everybody. The chances are someone that's going through it, or someone in recovery.
Chances are.
Yeah. Like family, like friends, like close circle, someone now. But again, we're slowly coming out of the shadows. We're slowly lessening the stigma. We're slowly getting to a point where we're like, you know what? Yep, it's me. And if I have a good run, I get another 40 years. If I have a good run, who am I trying to protect? This? For what? If I can go and say, hey, this saved my life, and that maybe affects 10 other people,
That's pretty great.
what's more important? Potentially saving face for how I'm gonna maybe be judged, or actually speaking truth that maybe might save somebody's life like it saved mine?
You're right. I am a hero.
And that's
That
what I'm
new
getting
project, Ben, from Macklemore. Let's get to Heroes.
at. Yeah.
DJ Premier Macklemore, man. It's good seeing you.
Great
bro.
seeing
Great
you,
to
man.
see you
All
guys.
right, man. Take care,
Always.
man. Give it up one time, Macklemore.
Yeah, Ben.